This is me saving the world. What a non-criminal act I've just committed. I might be a sentinel, but that don't make me a good man. If I'm the hero, the new laws count? Probably not.
What is up, guys? Welcome back. Today I'm going to show you how to play Graves mid. The reason for this video is to show you guys why exactly this champion is so OP in the mid lane. First of all, he has insane scaling with AD. His Q, for example, has around 160% AD scaling if I remembered right, basically meaning that one Q later on in the game is going to one-shot the entire wave. So it's a champion that has a lot of prio most of the time in a lot of different matchups, meaning that you can push out the lane first and then you can help out the jungler. So he needs to scale up first. So your goal mostly is to farm up. You want to get to that 2 or 3 item power spikes, or until that happens it's mostly going to be passive. You hit level 2 right here. If you hit it first, then you can go in for a quick trade to get that electrocute proc off, and then you back off. So what a lot of people don't abuse on Graves is the fact that you have to make sure that when you're going for trades you hit the enemy champion with all of the pellets. And in order to do that you have to be in melee range, like you have to be right next to them. Because like your auto attacks will spread, right? You have those pellets, and if you're standing further away then you will not hit all of them. So to get the maximum amount of DPS you want to make sure that you're standing close, and then you go for short trade in the early game. This short trade, if it was later on in the game, you just one shot. With this build I'm going to show you guys, you are going to one shot every single squishy champ in the game. So if you want to see the fun part, then watch when I get like 3 items. But your E auto attack reset, remember? So you go in an auto attack, then immediately E into another auto attack. You want to go for quick trade, so combined auto attack, and then E to reset auto attack with one auto attack, and then E, quick electrocute proc, and then back off. And there's a gang coming in. And if you look at the damage, this is only early on in the game and we're still dealing a ton of damage. And when you look at my damage when I am in melee range of an opponent compared to if I was further away, you can really see the damage difference from the auto attacks. So right now we are playing against 2 AP champs. That means I just go ahead and buy the Hex Stringer because that is going to be huge. Which of course means that we are going to lose a little bit of damage because we're also going defensive. But normally what you do is that you prioritize finishing the Eclipse first, so your mythic item. Because that's where you start coming online as soon as you finish that first mythic item. W is like one of the most OP non-ultimate abilities in the game in my opinion. Because they can really make it hard for people to trade back if you throw it right on top of them. But at the same time do not waste it because it has a pretty high cooldown. So the problem with Graves mid is that his auto attacks can get body blocked by the minions. But really it does not matter that much because you just focus on wave clearing. That's your main goal here. You wave clear, you get prio for your jungler, and then if the enemy jungler and your jungler starts a fight, you should be able to move first. Remember, it is the detonation part of your Q that deals most of the damage, so when you first use it, there's going to be a little bit of damage, and then the second part where it detonates, that's where most of the damage is at. The base damage as well as the scaling. So maximum DPS, then you want to make sure that you're hitting that. And of course, if you make the Q collide with terrain, then it's going to detonate a lot faster. So that's a lot easier to hit enemy champions if they're also standing next to terrain. But most of the part, the laning phase is going to be passive. It is a champion you can abuse, especially into AD matchups, because like that's where the passive part of your E, the armor stacking, really comes in handy. Obviously doesn't do anything against mages, besides maybe helping with the auto attacks because that's still physical damage, but other than that, it really doesn't do anything. But even that, it doesn't really matter, because if you get into melee range of a mage or something, later on in the game, guys, you're gonna one-tap them. Like, they're gonna disappear in like 1 second or less with your entire combo, because you have insane DPS. But in order to get that, we need to get the items. So we need the Eclipse, we need the Collector, then we also need the Lord Dominic's. And then you get the Infinity Edge. You cannot get that early on because you don't have enough crit to make use of the passive. So that's why you get another crit item after Lord Dominic's, and then you can get the Infinity Edge. Once you have that, just watch the damage you're dealing with a melee auto attack. When it crits, it's going to be insane. And the thing is that people have played against Graves a lot as a jungler, but they do not expect this damage from a solo lane Graves. So it's a champion that's, in my opinion, S tier in the mid and top lane, as long as you don't get into a very bad matchup. Because you have to be able to gap close, you have to be able to get within range. So if you play against something like a Serath, which is fun if you can get into melee range, but realistically you should not be able to, then really no point. Like, you won't be able to do much in the lane, and he's gonna permapoke you, so avoid picking him into super high range team comps. Unless of course you are confident on the champion, because like you can make it out of lane, and then when you get to the side lane part, you can like camp in spots, somebody face checks, you just fuck up a couple auto attacks and they're gone. Well, nice, he still got the kill. So as I said, mostly passive laning phase, that is what you should be expecting. You're mostly focused on wave clearing, farming up to get your items. If you're playing against a melee champ, you can abuse them more than compared to ranged ones. Your ultimate is also a finisher, because it covers a pretty big distance, so if somebody's low HP trying to run away, then you can pop that one, or you can also use it to escape with if your E and your flash is down, because it's like a dash as well. He is so obnoxious in close range. He's going to be really tanky. Now that I also have the Hex Stringer, I don't really have to worry about the Akali by herself, because we can deal with that. Just keep pushing, guys. Later on, when you have enough AD items and you have a max rank Q as well, it is going to clear out the entire wave by itself. Unfortunately, that ultimate damage was not quite enough, but we don't really have any AD items yet, so that's why. Otherwise, that would have cleared out. If we had like a serrated Dirk instead of the Hex Stringer, then yes, he would have died. We just go ahead and reset. So normally you will have some mana issues on this champ, so that's why I highly recommend that for your secondary runes you go Presence of Mind. That is going to help you out a ton, especially in fights and also team fights, where if you get a takedown with your team, you're going to get some mana back and then you can just keep going. And we can just walk down and pick up the Echo because he's running straight towards us, so we'll take that. Awesome red buff right there. And you see how fast the Q detonates when you make sure it collides with terrain. So when you go for those all-in fights or like one-shot combo, make sure that you also aim it towards the terrain when you are fighting an enemy champion. But the goal for maximum DPS, you want to get right into melee range, so your auto attack will hit all the pellets onto the enemy champion, and if it crits, there's going to be even more pellets. An insane amount of DPS. So just watch when I get like 3 or 4 items and I have the crit stuff. You will start one-tapping every squishy champ in the game. And because people don't expect that. Like, they never expect that damage. Because normally what Graves builds is like a mix of damage and tankiness, but with this build, you are building high DPS only. You are building insane DPS. You can also go Prowler's Claw, by the way, if you want more damage, but for most of your games, Eclipse is the better option. But they do not expect that damage you get with a crit. Like, you'll be critting for thousands of damage. It's a bit sad they are surviving, and also did not make it for the box to fear the echo. Then I think I would have survived, but they are cleaning up, so it's all cool to me. And also Mordekaiser pushing topside. Darius actually lost a lot from that roam, cause he used both his ultimate and the ghost. And that is without even getting a kill, so if you look topside, then Mordekaiser has pushed in a massive wave. That Darius is going to lose, and now he's also camping in the bush, forcing a fight, so yeah, his lane is pretty much over topside. And that's basically why you don't make these random rooms without fixing your wave first, because then that is going to happen if you are playing against a laner who knows how to play the game. That is going to happen every single time, and your lane is over. So for the early game, you go for quick electrocute procs. You can also go for fleet footwork, guys. It's going to give you less damage, obviously. You don't have as good trades. But you have the sustain. That is going to skill up. You have the sustain for sure, so it can help you later on in the game. It will definitely outscale electrocute later on in the game, because the healing when you auto attack champions is going to scale up. But if you want the highest possible impact in the mid lane as Graves, then you go Ignite and you go Electrocute. Already now you can see the detonation part of the Q is one-shotting the backline minions. Then imagine when we have the 80 items we need, it's going to clear out the entire wave. Just one Q, you don't even need to auto attack any minions. Because that is the insane scaling on the Q that allows us to do that. So you have really good wave clear, which a mid laner always needs. A good mid laner. And Graves is also like, he's a carry, but he's also tanky. So it's like a bruiser carry. And that is what makes him pretty obnoxious to play against, because if you ever get caught with a melee range as a squishy champion into a Graves, you will get one-tapped if he's going for this build. But to be like able to trade well, guys, you have to make sure that you're also clearing out the wave. The minions will body block your auto attacks. So when people try to trade with you, they will hide behind minions while using their auto attacks and abilities and stuff. So prioritize clearing out the wave. That's your number one goal, because that is why he's strong, because he can do that really fast. That is going to give you prio, which is super important, and you also get to damage the tower over and over, so you might end up getting the tower early on as well, like I did right here, thanks to the Sheku gank. Like, all of his ganks has failed so far, but this one ended up being pretty useful. So we got the first tower, or not the first one, bot lane got the first one I think, but we got the tower in the mid lane. So now we can start roaming around the map, which is something you can also do early on, but honestly, the main goal is just to farm up, cover the waves to get prio for your jungler, and then invade with him if he needs it. Now we can go for the Darius. I did not quite see what happened, but I think he flashed my ults. So So I should probably have ignited him. I'm being a bit greedy sometimes with my summoners or other abilities, because sometimes I think it's a guaranteed kill and then they end up running away. So just to be on the safer side, just ignite him. Like if you see somebody low HP and you don't know if he has a summoners up, then just ignite to be sure. And mid game pretty much started, so you just run around the map. If possible, in the side lane is where you want to be, because you really want to force those 1v1 fights and 1v2s. That's why Graves is strong, and the way you do that is by pressuring in the side lanes. If you're going mid, then your AD carry and your support will also be there, and that's going to be terrible for your XP and your gold income. Man, that wave clear is just not balanced. It is not balanced at all. That's why he's so strong. Like, he's so strong at pretty much every point in the game. Like, he's not a hard scaling champion, but even in the late game, any like melee champion that is squishy at the same time, even if you meet something like a Yasuyone for example, you're gonna one-tap them. Like, you can actually one-tap them and you can build. But usually you build like 2 armor pin items in a single build, so you can get a lot of Dominics and then you can also get these Cyrildas. If you're going for a more boost oriented build, you can also go for the Cleaver. But because you have so many armor pin options, it's pretty much impossible for a squishy champion to like itemize against you. Now just walk into the jungle, and you guys know that his clear in the jungle is also insane, and he can do that pretty easily because every auto attack knocks back the camps, so they barely get to auto attack him. So what you can do is that if you get pride in the mid lane, you just show the wave, then you can also walk into enemy jungle and take away their camps. That way you are getting a massive XP and CS lead for yourself. So you can skill up, get to that 3 item power spike, and then just start one-shotting. Honestly, I have no clue where these guys went, so I'm probably not getting them. Oh, Morgana took the long way around, she's in the bottom side river. So we can just push it in top side. Always remember, auto attacks, maximum DPS, you have to be melee range. If you're not melee range, you will be losing out on a lot of damage, because then you will not be hitting all the pillars from your auto attacks. And you get more of these if they crit. We are sitting on a bunch of assists right now, but that really doesn't matter much because we also have a lot of gold, so we can back off and get the Eclipse. And that is another item that gives you free pin. So normally at this stage you have Eclipse and the Collector. I have the MR item because they have double AP, they have AP mid and AP jungle. In that case you just buy this item because then you become like a tank with a lot of damage, but if you want the highest damage then you get the Collector instead of the Mauve. So if you have the Mauve at this point, force any fight against any squishy champ, you're gonna win. As long as you make sure to hit your stuff, of course. And that echo is gone. There's going to be a takedown on the Darius as well. This Akali is getting pretty fed somehow. I had no clue how that started off, but she's getting fed. Doesn't matter that much because we will still destroy her. Mordekaiser is getting stuffed on top side. Not sure why Ashe is flaming him, but we are getting massive leads this way, guys, and then just keep pushing it out. Of course, we don't want to overextend, so we can just back off right now because their entire team is respawning. So we will just get out, and now we can start building towards the Collector. Maybe the Morgana will come and face check. In that case, you will be able to pick up another free kill. So if you can, find good spots to camp in. For example, if there's a massive wave in the bot lane, it's almost a guarantee that somebody's going to farm it, so you can camp in the bush, wait for them to appear. Entire combo, one shot, easy peasy, free kill, 300 gold. And probably one more item for you. You see how I use that ultimate? When your E is down, guys, you have another dash for that ultimate. So I used that to dodge his hook, otherwise that could have turned out pretty bad. If that was a 1 vs 2, I would have taken that fight, but the entire team was coming, that's why I backed off. And team on a cleaning up duty, so just keep pushing it out. We can go for the Baron, but Shaco is really low HP, so probably not worth it. Because it's gonna take us a while to clear that one out. And Shaco is not coming, so yeah, we can't really do the Baron. It could have been free if he had his ultimate up, but it's fine, so we can just go ahead and back off and get the components towards the collector. Now, Graves being strong as a solo laner is really good news for anyone who likes to play Graves only. Like OTP him or main him as well. Because not only is he strong in the jungle, but you can also play him in the mid and top lane, where he is at least A tier. Like the Graves players I have met in high elo, a lot of them are actually playing him in solo lanes, because that's where you can really abuse the opponent. Abuse your range advantage and also that insane DPS you get in melee range. Let's see the damage. That was one auto attack. That was one auto attack on the Tristana. Not quite sure what that flash was. Maybe she was not paying attention to my boots as well, because I have tenacity. But they're going to siege top side. And that was a quick one shot on the Tristana. If I was all the way close, like in melee range and a crit, then I could have finished off way earlier. But this is basically why you never want to be in melee range of Graves. So now we are sitting on that spike I was talking about, the 3 item. Now obviously this is not as strong as if I had Lord Dominic's instead of the Morph. That is going to end up resulting in giving a lot more DPS. But most games you will have Lord Dominic's at this point instead of the Morph, and then you will really notice that huge boost you get in your DPS. And that's why he really starts becoming fun to play. So this is the point where you really start forcing fights. Like you see a squishy target, camp somewhere, force engages and stuff. Because you are gonna win most of them. I'll take that one, I'll take that one. Easy red buff. Also really good for stealing away buffs. Because you go in melee range, you hit all the pillets and it's going to deal a ton of damage. So if they don't have smite up, that's almost a guaranteed red buff. Unless they have a Nuno, of course. So we can go for the Darius right here. Now watch the damage. That right there was the damage I was talking about. You see when I flashed in, got that auto attack and a crit. See how much damage it dealt, then into E, into another auto attack, to another crit. Again, if I had Lord Dominic's, a lot more damage, but already now with the Morph, I dealt so much. But this is basically what Graves can do. You are building burst items, like crit, lethality and stuff. But against AD champions, you're still like a bruiser because your E passive, the grit, gives you a lot of armor, so you're still going to be very tanky. It's like a mix of a bruiser and a carry. Another finisher on the Akali, one auto attack and the target is gone. She was of course low HP, but you can still see the damage the auto attacks are dealing. Let me just keep pushing it in right here. Make sure that you use that E as an auto attack reset as usual. Not only for the auto attack reset, but also when you use that E, it is going to reload. And the reload mechanic is probably something you have to get used to, because it's not a normal AD carry where you can keep auto attacking. You have to reload, but that E really helps a lot because you mostly play around bursting people. Not as much for consistent DPS, even though that's also something you get from this build. But that is another one-shot combo on the Tristana. Like every single squishy you meet at this point in the game, you will be able to wipe them out. And a quick and easy double kill with a Thresh, pulling the target into the boxes. Now we are sitting on almost 4k gold, so we will back off and buy the Lord Dominic's because the Darius is building armor, and the last item, Infinity Edge. You should definitely look forward to reaching this point in the game because this is where most of the fun begins. You have so much crit, so much AD, and as I said, you are building skills insanely well with AD, your Q and your ultimate. Your W has AP scaling, but that does not matter, that is not used for damage. Your Q and your ultimate is. So we can just go ahead and push it out, and then we can go for the end with the team as well here. Just look at that 1000 crits. Another one shot on the Echo. Like you burst them down so fast that they don't really have time to react. But that was how to play Graves mid, guys. Build is the same for top lane, but thanks for watching and see y'all next time.